something which was shocking news for many of us when we heard about it and when we read about it. SubhanAllah, I remember the first time hearing of this test that you went through with your son. Omar, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him.
I mean,
It was a huge shock, and this was a lot more recent, like we're saying, right?
2015.
2015, so very, very recent still. I just want you to, because the reason why I feel like this is important, because there's so many people listening and watching that have lost people who are close to them, whether it's parents or siblings or even their own children. How did you even? I can't even imagine what you would have went through. And again, coming back to, did you feel like you were equipped for that, and what went through your mind, when you were tested in this way?
Before I lost Umar, before we lost Umar, my biggest fear, it's weird that your mind conjures up these scenarios. Yeah. My biggest fear, the thing that would basically just fill me with dread, would make my heart sink, was losing my kids in the haram. During the when it's all packed.
Yeah.
For some reason, that thought would always come to my mind. It's weird, I know. That's. I would think that praying salah, and all of a sudden my kids have disappeared.
Yeah.
And that used to I used to get palpitations thinking about that. Because for any parent, losing your kid is the biggest test. You don't expect to outlive your children. You have aspirations for them. You want them to. You wish nothing but success for them. You have hope in them. They're. You just have nothing but love for them, and they become the meaning of your life. So, Allah decided to test me with the biggest test, and to take my son. He was, my only son at the time. I had 4 beautiful daughters, and by the way, if Allah blessed me with 10 other daughters, I'd still be content and happy, because the love of a daughter is unrivaled, alhamdulillah. But Allah blessed us with a son, the 5th child, and we were in Portugal. It was our first family holiday, actually.
Wow.
Because the work never allowed you to take family holidays.
Yeah.
And so, I was sat in a room, and then I heard this god awful scream, and I get panic attacks now. If I hear screams, I get panic attacks. So, the other day my wife screamed because I think she saw a rat or something, and I immediately got a panic attack. I get it because of that.
Yeah.
So I heard the scream, ran outside, and there was a pool, and he was floating in the middle of the pool. And I'll never forget, I remember running up to the pool and, screaming, no, 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 and ran and jumped into the pool, dragged him out, pulled him out, and I just started CPR. But I could tell he was gone. But I never gave up, I was still trying. And then we were in the middle of nowhere. Nobody could hear us. We were literally in the middle of nowhere. And I was screaming and shouting, but nobody could hear. And obviously I had to go and call an ambulance. And there was a hotel which was some distance away. And I didn't have the telephone number of the hotel or anything. So I told my mum, I said, look, my mum was there, my daughters were there, my wife, everyone's witnessing this. And then I asked my mum to carry on CPR, and I ran off to the hotel. Then we got the ambulance there, they came, and we were trying CPR for the next, I think, hour. And then in this time, immediately the thought that came to my mind was, Alhamdulillah, he's made it. I knew he was dead. But the thought that came in my mind was that he made it. That he's, Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decided to take him through this very challenging way. As one of the there are a number of deaths which, if you die through those means, you are considered a shaheed.
Yeah.
One of them is drowning. When do we ever go near a pool? When do we ever when are we ever open to that risk of one of our kids drowning? Because we're never in that situation. We live in concrete jungle here. But Allah decided to take us all the way to Portugal, and decided to take him through this means. And immediately I felt that sort of the peace that he had made it. But even though you felt that at the time, and it allowed me to handle it, because if I didn't know, or if I didn't have, if I didn't have that sort of knowledge that he is now gone to a better place, I would have gone mad. I literally would have lost my mind. But Deen helped me, alhamdulillah. And it just started this, we were there in Portugal on our own. We had some, we were inundated with messages, people telling us that they wanted to come over, help us, support us. I said no, I wouldn't give my details to anybody. Three of my family members came, they were really helpful. And then three of my friends, Imran, Isa, Adam, I know the other brother, subhanAllah, names slip my mind. I'm trying to remember, but they turned up. They wouldn't listen. They turned up, and they were so helpful in that period.
Yeah.
But it was just difficult after that. My wife was bordering on madness, running out into the streets, shouting up, into the garden, shouting Umar, his name Umar. It was just it was a very, 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 very sad time. But I had to be strong for my family, because everyone around me was just broken, just fell to pieces.
Yeah. So
I had to be strong for them. But then I went through extremely difficult moments. But every time, I give you one example. Allah would, help me in that period, in that moment. There's one particular time when we had guests coming around.
Yeah.
And when we had people around me, I was okay. Just for that moment, I was kind of like, just slightly lost in the moment. But then this one moment where I was on my own, lying down, and I remember I was going through extremely difficult time in my mind, because, I was a broken man. I really was. Even though I had this satisfaction, I know he's made it, but I was still a broken man. And I remember, like, at that moment in time, it was like I was at my lowest. One of my moments when I was at my lowest ebb. It was a number of those moments in that journey, that time. And so what happened? I think it was my phone rang, and it was one of my friends, and I really didn't have the heart to speak to him, so I put the phone on the side, and I know I did not press the answer button on that phone, right? Somehow, the phone had answered, and he's saying hello, 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 and I felt too rude not to say anything. I picked up the phone and I started speaking to him. He gave me some words of consolation at the time, and I can't remember what exactly he said. But at that moment, and this guy's not known for being sort of a person that can give you inspiring words or like words of consolation that will make you feel better. But he gave me a few words that immediately made me feel better. And there were a number of occasions where at my lowest ebb, Allah helped me somehow. It was once a dream where I saw him, shining, alhamdulillah, on a bed. And these things help. But I went through difficulty for a number of months. I think I was at Orphans in Need at that time, and the stress of it all, just basically I felt that I couldn't carry on. I'd lost my passion in that role at that time, and I spoke to Tracy. Said, look, I have to leave, and I decided to resign from my post at the time because of the difficulties. And that's when Islamic Relief came along, just I think a week after, and said, look, they didn't know that I'd resigned, by the way, but this is from Allah, rizq's from Allah, right? And he just, he said, look, would you like to come work? And I went. Then they said, can you apply for this role? Applied for the role, got the job. And even that first year of Islamic Relief, I went through this mental problem where I was getting panic attacks, and I was getting them at a time where just before going and doing speeches, and it was like that's like one of the main parts of my job.
Yeah,
and I on a couple of occasions fainted at the
really
standing up and doing speeches because of these panic attacks.
Yeah.
And they were obviously exacerbated by this issue. And so I went through real mental problems, but I had to fight through that.
Yeah,
I had to because that was the main part of my job. I didn't tell anybody. I just fought through that and still sort of carried on, tried to put a brave face on. Every time I sort of felt the panic attack coming on, I'd walk out. A couple of occasions I walked out of the room. The panic attack was such that I couldn't speak.
Yeah,
I'd stop speaking, and I'd start sweating. And these were sort of some of the mental problems that I had as a result. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala changed everything with the blessing of our son, Isa.
Mashallah.
And you know, when we lost Umrah, the Sheikh said to me, there was this, I think the dua that the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to recite.
Awesome. Yeah.
I don't remember the Arabic, but I know the English translation. It was like, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Oh Allah, please reward us for our affliction
Yeah.
and replace us with something or someone better. And I would do anything to have Umrah back.
Mm.
I don't believe anything's better than him or anything like that. Sounds a bit callous, but Allah did bless us with a child that is amazing. Isa is amazing. He's beautiful. He's you know, he's one of those little boys that, you know, he does anything he does is just like, you know, it's just it's amazing. So and that really helped us.
Yeah.
That really helped us. Just before then as well, when we went Umrah, that was also a wonderful moment where we could unload in front of Allah. But I believe that I didn't get over the issue really for about 2 years after.
Mm.
It was over. I mean, I think it's only the last year that I've a year and a half that I felt like I've stopped having the panic attacks.
Yeah.
I don't have that anymore, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Conquered that. But that I had to fight to overcome that, because my job was such that I had to be, you know, put in front of people. I was, you know, made to do speeches, but I couldn't stop my job. So every time it was like a battle in my mind, but I never gave up.
Yeah.
I never gave up, and I would fight through it. Found coping mechanisms. One mistake I did make though was that I didn't get counselling, and that was one thing. It was one thing I would recommend anybody that goes through an extreme bereavement.
Yeah.
Is to get counselling. I did it all in my own mind.
Yeah.
Sort of counselling my own self, if you like. And I believe I could have overcome the issues a lot quicker had I got counselling. But it was challenging. But it was faith that got me through it.
Yeah.
With the thinking that he is in a better place, that he has made it, alhamdulillah. And then, you know, after Isa was born, that made it easier.
Yeah.
There were moments where I would, every day I'd be thinking about it. Every moment I was thinking about it. I was thinking about me pulling him out. There's a particular vision that I have.
Yeah.
I was jumping in the pool, pulling him out. That vision, what he was wearing, how he was bent over in the pool, how he was like floating in the pool, that will never leave me. But I was punishing myself by remembering all the time. But alhamdulillah, since Isa was born, it became a lot better. Don't think about it as much as I used to.
Yeah.
Like in the last month, I think I've only thought about it twice. And every time I think about it, my heart sinks, you know. But I thank Allah that, you know, I thank Allah for that. I thank Allah because, alhamdulillah, for him, he's made it. Yeah, he's inshallah, in the garden with Ibrahim alayhi salam, playing around.
Inshallah.
You know, this is what the ultimate purpose is, right? It's about the life after. And for myself and for my wife and for my family, I'm hopeful that hopefully we will get some benefit out of it in the life after. It's one of those where I said to you, earlier, I said that, you know, these tests, sometimes you see benefits in this life, but sometimes you'll see for this one, I'm hoping that inshallah I will see the benefit in the life after.
Inshallah. It's an amazing dua as well that you read, you know, which is Allah replace this with something better.
Yeah.
And you know, like I've heard so many stories about people who went through something similar and they made this dua and Allah did answer that dua. and this is actually what happened with Salama radiallahu anha when she lost her husband, and her husband was known to be, you know, the ideal husband, and she loved him so much, but he was martyred, and she vowed to basically never get married again. I'm never going to find a husband like Abu Salama. And then she was taught to make the same dua. Oh Allah, replace this test with something better.
And what a replacement.
And she married the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Amazing, subhanallah.
Beautiful.
Amazing. Yeah.
No, it's it's particularly challenging. It was particularly challenging for my wife, of course.
Yeah.
She was his everything.
Yeah.
You know, she spent the most time with him. She's the one who, you know. So we went back. I remember we came back to London. We came back too soon. I came back like after about 2 weeks, I think, or whatever it was. Didn't have a break properly, and we came back, and just the memories of, you know, going around coming into the house and seeing everything just reminded us of him. I got rid of most things. I got rid of his belongings. I got rid of, you know, pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, again, it's from Allah. I lost my phone in Portugal. I had all my images of him on that phone.
Wow.
I lost it. But it helped. It helped. So it's it's something that we will live with until we leave this world. It's not going to go away. But, you know, consolation that alhamdulillah
Alhamdulillah.
he's doing all right, inshallah.